again. I'm back in my tent and I wanted to talk about a dream I had last night. And it's one of the most powerful and symbolic dreams that I've ever had. And I feel like that's partially due to just my openness to receiving messages, and also due to just the years of work, like learning symbolism, learning what different things mean, and piecing it all together. Like I was able to write out this interpretation, just like I was writing a dream and it just went into the interpretation. I was like, oh yeah, and this means this, and this means this, and this means this, and this makes sense. And that's felt really good to get to that point where I could like look at all these aspects of the dream and then automatically know what they meant and how they meant in the context of my life and my experiences. So let me see where in this dream I want to start. Let's see. Not all of it feels relevant. Okay, so I'm driving with friends to a house party, and this house party is in my late great aunt's house. My aunt T.T. Mary and Auntie Bertha. They're my two aunts, they're sisters, they live together, and this party was hosted in their house, but they weren't there, of course, and they have passed. So, but the party was there, and let's see what else. We're playing music, there's food. I do specifically remember that someone had made like some salmon sandwich platter that I was really excited about, and I like ran to go get like the last salmon sandwich, and that was delicious. And so hanging out this party, and then the police show up and they grab the people who publicized the party and who like responsible for the music, and they're saying that everyone had to leave the party, and this was at least 100 people at this party. It was huge, and they said everyone had to go, and we just sort of got started. And so apparently a fertility goddess had awakened nearby, and we were in a prohibited area, and we had to leave so as not to disturb her, is what they were communicating. And so I looked this up, and this goddess up on my phone, and I don't remember what her name was in the dream, but she was apparently a Native American fertility goddess, and she had a song, and I don't remember what the song was, but I remember like picking up my phone and scrolling down this website and seeing that she had a song and it was on there. And I wanted to go find her. And so this guy that I liked told me to come on, and he took off running through my aunt's house and down into the basement. And so I followed him, locking one of the bedroom doors behind me. And the basement was the basement to my grandmother's house. And so it was my great aunt's house, and then a basement was my grandmother's. And the guy I was with was quick. He was also wondering why there's a BMW in the basement. There's a BMW just sitting there, like covered in some dust, like looks really new, like recent. And I just assumed that over the years it just gotten forgotten about. But that was interesting. And so we made it outside into a yard, and this yard had a fence. It had a low fence and a high fence, and he hopped the high fence and I took the low fence because I was like, why make things difficult? And when we got out into the street, we were walking, and the news reporter showed up and started like chasing after us with cameras and microphones, and they were taking photos of us and asking why we were ignoring the order and what made us better than everyone else. They didn't like that they also didn't like that we were interracial. He was a white guy, I am a black woman. And they eventually caught up with us and were grabbing at us. And suddenly we were safely at like a black strip mall or like little shops. And at the shop, there was like all the clothing was sort of like 90s, early 2000s style. And there's a bunch of black women there, and I was trying to like be friendly and make friends with them. And I remember like sitting next to this woman looking at these shoes, and there were these like tiny plastic cheap looking shoes that clearly looked like someone else had already worn them. And there's a pair that was $86, and there's a pair that was like $73. And I was just like, I don't get it why people would pay this money for clearly used, poor quality plastic shoes. But that's beside the point. I don't know. I actually don't know what the significance of those particular shoes were yet. But to backtrack a bit, I made some additional notes. So when we got outside, before we hopped the fence, there's absolutely no one outside. And we were wondering how everyone left the party so fast. And, oh yeah, on the goddess's website, it mentioned Ho'oponopono. And this goddess's colors, I believe, were pink and copper. And so those are very interesting things to note. And so, some interpretations that I have, some reflections I have on this dream. So my great aunt's bedroom and my grandmother's basement are portals. When I was a child, they were really mysterious places, and places that I rarely got to go to, and that always held a lot of like fear/curiosity. My grandmother's basement was definitely terrifying. It was definitely dark down there. I think there was one light bulb, and there were tons of cobwebs, and it was like, it wasn't finished. It was like cement and stuff. And there was like multiple rooms. It was creepy. It was very creepy. And then my great aunt Mary's bedroom, you had to go through my when I would go there, there's a bedroom that I would stay in. And then it was like, I think that was supposed to be just like a little office, because there's a door at the end of that room that led into her room. And then even deeper in her room, there's another room for a bathroom. So it just felt like it was like a nesting egg of rooms, and I rarely got to traverse into her room and then further. And so the fact that going through her room and then to the bathroom, that there was another door that led to a basement, sort of, I feel like, is a reflection of like my curiosity about that space. So I believe that my realized self is the Native American fertility goddess, and that society or government doesn't want me to discover her, and somehow they have their own agenda for her. And I actually made a different note later on elaborating on that. I'll find it. So I feel that my soul is the guy that I liked, the lover in the dream. And that's taking some cue from Eric Godsey, who says that that's what Jung says, that when there's like a man in a dream, that's a reflection of your soul. When there's a woman, there's a reflection of your ego. So I'm sort of going off of that. And it's interesting that, like, I'm just going to call the lover the soul. The soul already knew the way to get to my realized self. Like, they already knew the path. Like in this dream, I wouldn't have expected someone that I like just met but like fell in love with to know their way through like my family's houses. And so the path to my realized self can be seen by looking at my childhood and my past. And the path may look familiar and also scary, but I'll get there if I trust. And I felt like my great aunts like were aware of some of the gifts that I'm just realizing now, but they tried to protect it, I feel like, by sort of repressing it or not really acknowledging it. And then it was sort of forgotten. And those 2 points are not necessarily related. You're gonna have to bear with me. I just woke up. But what I meant to say was that, like, um, the path to to self-realization. There are some things on that path that seem scary and look familiar. For example, stripping is scary. Traveling to Africa is scary. Buying a new van and massage school are scary. Maya is scary. And some of these parts are familiar. Like, for example, massage came up for me in middle school and after college and in the program I'm in, Fit for Service. And Maya parallels my relationship with my mother, which is extremely familiar, and sometimes scary depending on how we're both feeling. And my Auntie Bertha traveled to Africa often and brought back lots of artwork and artifacts and jewelry and fabrics, and often wore all of that. And I was surrounded by it in her home and by her. And so that's the familiarity part, is that some of the things I'm coming back to are things that have been sort of there all along, but you don't really think about it very much. In regards to my great aunt sort of knowing that about some of my gifts, I feel like that's indicated by the BMW that's forgotten. I feel like that BMW is an aspect, a forgotten aspect of my realized self. So my soul hops the high fence easily. And I feel like that's because he's experienced and my soul's done it before. And they're showing me that it's possible. And I take the easy route because that's what society values. It's easy, fast, quick. Might make things hard. We need a shortcut, a get rich quick scheme, all that jazz. And my added reflections are on that are I've had